Hi guys, so I'm doing this video because we are on month 3 after me putting in a work order to have my stove fixed. It took a month for that. Well, it actually took I'd say 3 weeks for them to even call to get them to come out, let alone, I mean, he had to even come to the unit to get the number so he could call. And that was like 3 weeks out of writing the work request. So anyway, we are now at month 3. I moved in at the very beginning of February, very end of January. We are now obviously at the end of May. As a matter of fact, it is Thursday, May 21st. On my stove it says 7:52. On my watch it says 7:54 in the morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to conduct an experiment as we go through this. And I'm putting it on YouTube for a couple reasons. One, I would like to be able to have a link to be able to share electronically with all of the management staff at Blue Line Property Management, the owner of the building, Hassan Latif, the staff that used to work for Second Chance Center that now work for Providence at the Heights, where I live, path. So that everybody is aware very clearly that this is not working. And that I've done everything in my power to show that it's not me trying to be, it's not a preference or anything like that. Like, it's science. So to be able to boil water and to sanitize, it takes bringing the water up to 212 degrees. This is why I'll be taking the temperature of the water with my the thermometer I just bought for my son and I. So as you can see, it is an electronic thermometer. I hope I don't break it, but if I do, at this point, it is what it is, right? So I'm going to take the temperature before I sit here and add the water to the pot. I'm going to add 1 cup of water to each pot every 2 minutes, because it should take approximately 2 minutes to boil 1 cup of water. It should take approximately 5 to 10 minutes to boil water in general, okay? And this oven range, the range should be able to go up to 2,100 watts. I don't know what specific eyes they have on there. I do know they're temperature controlled for this specific unit. The model that I'm dealing with, let me pull up my computer screen because I've been doing quite a bit of research. I'm dealing with the Amana electric cooktop. The model number is ACR 4303M, F as in Frank, W. And so, yeah, that is the one I'm using. It's rated high on the internet. So that would, I mean, you would figure if it's being rated well, then that means it should function properly. So either the person they called out that was just like, hey, that is what it is. He literally never tried to boil water. He never tried to do anything. He looked at it and was here less than 5 minutes and walked away. I was dumbfounded. So, but yet they're calling that a solution, them trying to fix the problem. They also called trying to give me the exact same stove that was downstairs. A solution, even though I went down there with the maintenance man to try to boil water. And again, it only brought it to a simmer. And the clear difference between a simmer and a boil is that a simmer has bubbles typically at the bottom. Some bubbles will break surface, but not many. A boil is active. The bubbles will constantly break surface. There will be a rolling action, and sometimes it will boil over, frothing, you know? So yeah, that is the difference. And also it's a temperature difference. Simmering is about 160, 180. To boil, it's 212. So again, just trying to make sure that I cover everything before I start this experiment, and so that I can be able to make sure everybody knows what's going on. I'm also going to add warm water. So I'm trying to give all I can to make it very clear that this doesn't work, okay? So I'm gonna, as you can see, I'm gonna flip you guys around real quick. All right, so as you can see, my tap is on high right now. And I'm gonna take the temperature of the water that is coming out of the, okay, so it's on low. I'm gonna take a temperature of the water that's coming out of it. And it says it's high. It's not registering. It just says high. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this taking temperature thing. So obviously I'm doing water. So the temperature thing isn't going to work. So we're just going to have to go off of eyeballing, okay, whether or not it boils. So 1 cup in each pot. As you'll see on the stove, every single pot, I'm going to flip you around again. Every single pot on the stove has different sizes. The smaller pots are on smaller eyes. The larger pots are on larger eyes. In the directions for the unit, it states very clearly that if you're going to put a pot on the eye, not to have a pot that's much larger than the eye itself. So I'm also going to show you the pots real quick before I start this boil, to show you how far they are on and off of the units. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to change one of the pots. Sorry guys, I'm down low, but I think I'm going to change one of these pots to something maybe a bit smaller. Hold on, let me see. Nope, that's a bit smaller. To ensure that I show, sorry, to ensure that I'm showing a really nice variety of sizes and, sorry, moving pots around. So, okay, let me flip you. So I had this one on there. It's a pretty big one, so I took that off because it's the largest one. So I wanted to, again, try to be super fair. This one doesn't go all the way to the edge. This one barely, as you can see, goes to the edge. This one does not go all the way to the edge, and this one barely, as you can see, meets the edge, okay? Each one has 1 cup of water in each, okay? I'm gonna put this guy away now. All right. Now I'm also going to turn on the eyes with you. So here we go, high, and you see it's clicked in there. High, it's clicked in there. High, and we're clicked in there. High, and we're clicked in there. So it shows that the cooktop is hot, okay? And now we are going to set a timer for 2 minutes. Oops. Boom. So 2 minutes is again. Again, I apologize for the length of this video. I just wanted to make sure that I'm really like very detailed about this, so that there aren't any like I guess possibilities for anyone to think that I'm fudging results or anything. I mean, I've been basically told how I'm not telling the truth, and it's been minimized so much that I feel like I have to go to this extent to prove my point that it isn't functioning to the level it should, okay? And that's what's sad, is that I feel like I have to go to this extent to do so. So I'm gonna, with you on the phone while that is still over there, bringing to a boil. As you see, I'm here. That's my stove. Here I am. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to look on my computer for How long does it take water to boil?
Here's a summary from Appalachian Mountain Club. Most health organizations recommend that you boil water vigorously for 1 minute up to elevations of 2,000 meters and 3 minutes at elevations higher.
So you heard it yourself from the Google lady, okay? And that's outside of saying to make it to drink, okay? How do you know when water is done boiling? Let's watch this video.
And helps the water boil faster. Step 4. They say a watched pot never boils, but that's not literally true. It's a figure of speech, a way of saying, be patient, things take time.
2 minutes
so
is up.
Watch the pot all you want, pull up a chair, make a day of it. It could be very educational for someone like you. If you don't watch it, here's what you'll miss. First, steam will form between the water and the lid. Next, small bubbles will appear around the bottom and edges of the pot. Finally, the bubbles will become large enough to break the surface of the water. Step 5. Once large bubbles are flowing in steady streams from the bottom to the top of the pot, the water is boiling.
Okay, so we're going to pause that because I am going to take you with me around my house. So this is 1 cup of water. That is a boiling pot. Yes, that is not a boiling pot. Isn't that sad? That is I would call it more simmering, almost boiling. Yes. And that would be a simmering, almost boiling pot. So that is at 2 minutes, people, okay? So we're going to do another cup per pot and reset the timer for another 2 minutes. And as you saw, let me end this. I actually gave it more than 2 minutes, okay? Because we were watching that little thing. So I'd say maybe let's just call it 3 minutes and that it was going, which is great for 1 cup of water, right? So let's go to 2 cups of water, and you see I'm adding per pot, 1 cup per pot. And now we have 2 cups in each pot. I have not moved the pots. I have not done anything. We are going to set a timer yet again for 2 minutes. You know what? Let's do 3 minutes this time. Okay, so we started the timer for 3 minutes. I'm going to stay close now because this one's already brought it to boil again. This one has not. This one has not. This one has not. That is a solid boil. And the reason why you know that is because you see the activity, the bubbles, constantly in a steady stream of breaking above the surface of the water. You see the active steam. Steam is pretty much coming out of all of them. This one's not like super steamy, but you know, it's trying. This one isn't either, and neither is that one, but this one's doing pretty darn good, okay? So as you can see, each pot is differently sized, all right? And each pot sits I'm giving approximately these 2 have a little bit extra room of the eye. These 2 pretty much meet the eye at its edge. Either way, I'm well within the range of it should being able to boil. As you can see, this one is though. That's good stuff, right? So we're going to now go to 3 cups and see what happens, okay? We are at 1 moment. The moment it goes off, because I did give it 3 minutes, we're now going to add, when it goes off, we're going to add another cup of water. Actually, let me turn this. I hate running water like that. And honestly, I would like to be able to, my point is, I should be able to sufficiently boil at least 6 cups of water. I'd say I would prefer more, just in case, like if I want to make a soup, for goodness sake, or if I want to, make a large pot of pasta or something, I should be able to bring 6 cups of water, 6 or 7 cups of water to boil. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation out of a stove. We are at 50 seconds now, and this one's simmering. And you see the difference between a simmer. It's not really hitting the surface, but you got some activity going on at the bottom of the pot. Here is a boil. And you know what's funny is it went from high to low. And that was one of the things that I expressed to them, that the stove eyes do not stay warm consistently. So they don't, the wattage, either the wattage or the temperature like fluctuates on with the eyes. I'm also doing this video because I'm going to be contacting the manufacturer of the stove, and seeing if this is in accordance with what it was designed to do. All right, guys, now we are at 3 minutes. We're going to turn this guy off, and we are going to add, we got our cup, our sturdy and friendly little one cup measuring scoop. Here we are. We're adding this into this guy. Another. We're going to add 1 cup into each pot that can take it. All right. So we are now at 3 cups of water. So you saw 1 cup of water, fine. 2 cups of water, starting to get questionable. See, that's a simmer, not a boil, because it's not all the way around. But it's boiling. It's like that one side is the only thing that's getting the bubbles. It's not all the way around. So that's what's considered a simmer. And we'll go, that's 1 cup each pot. Now we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start. We're going to add 5 minutes this time to try to give it sufficient time to be able to do its thing, okay? So 5 minutes. And while I have you here for 5 minutes, your undivided attention, hello. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look up, searches on the difference between a simmer and a boil. One moment. What is the difference between simmering water and boiling water? All right, so simmering. Simmering, on the other hand, occurs at 180 to 190. I was actually giving it, being kind when I said 160 to 180. And is much gentler than boiling. Instead of the vigorous bubbles, you see the smaller bubbles that break the surface of water. So boiling is vigorous. And simmering is gentler, okay? Maintaining a simmer can require close attention because as heat builds in a pot, a simmer easily can turn to a boil. Well, ideally, right? What is the difference between boiling and simmering water? Boil. Liquid reaches, I'm gonna flip you guys now. Liquid reaches 212 degrees. Large bubbles vigorously rise from the bottom of the pot and continually break the surface. Simmer. Liquid reaches 180 to 190 degrees. Small bubbles rise from the bottom of the pot and occasionally break surface. I think that the key words here are vigorous for boiling, and simmer is a description for the bubble occasionally breaking the surface. So I think those are the key words we need to look at and think about here while we're doing this this experiment, guys. What does simmering water look like? A simmer, I'm actually gonna click because it says top left. Okay, so we use many terms. I'm going to flip you again. Sorry, guys. We use many terms to indicate how hot and active we want water or with other liquids to be during cooking. Here are some of the most common terms and what they mean. A bare simmer is characterized by a couple of small bubbles breaking through the surface every 2 to 3 seconds in different spots. It is often used for slow-cooked clear stalks, which could become cloudy with too much agitation. Okay? A simmer. Top left. This is it. Okay? Is identified by, oops, sorry guys. Apparently we're getting there we go, is identified by pockets of fine but constant bubbling that give off an occasional wisp of steam. It's ideal for mingling flavors, while proteins like meat or beans cook gently until tender. A vigorous simmer / gentle boil is indicated by more constant small bubbles breaking the surface of the liquid with frequent wisps of steam, and by larger bubbles beginning to rise. It's perfect for thickening a liquid into a sauce without the splattering that that boiling might create. A boil occurs when large bubbles come from the bottom of the pot and quickly rise to the surface, producing constant steam. At sea level, boiling point is 212 degrees. At high altitudes, liquids boil at lower temperatures due to a change in atmospheric pressure. Vegetables, particularly root vegetables, are often boiled until tenders. And mind you, I'm at a higher altitude because I'm in Colorado, so that means that I should be able to bring it to a boil at a lower temperature. And that's not happening as of right now. We got 38 seconds. A rolling boil. Top right is a vigorous state of maintained boiling in which large bubbles erupt continuously on the surface of the liquid and cannot be disrupted by stirring or adding ingredients. Clouds of steam roll off the surface of the water and the boil is audible. A rolling boil, is used for cooking pasta, okay, and blanching green vegetables to help them maintain their color. Okay, so I want to make it very clear. There's nothing else from the rest of the site. It's just some, as you could see, people comments. Okay, and so I'm really thankful that it mentioned. I'm flipping you guys again. I'm really thankful that it mentioned the difference in what you're doing when you're boiling, because I need a rolling boil for pasta to cook. Not just to disinfect things for my breastfeeding. Also, as a breastfeeding mom, you need to eat healthy. So you want to blanch your vegetables so that you could keep not only the color, but the nutrients that are inside a vegetable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip you around again. We are past 5 minutes, okay? I haven't touched it yet. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to turn this timer off. Okay. And now that we've read what we were talking about, you'll notice that in the center, there are small bubbles, but they're not breaking the surface. Around the exterior, we have some bubbles. I think that one was described as a high simmer, low boil, or gentle boil. This is very clearly a simmer. It was stated very clearly that this is a simmer. Okay. This one also was stated very clearly that it is a simmer. And again, very clearly a simmer. All right. So now here's the thing, what I'm finding funny, because a lot of people don't know, less water doesn't mean that it will boil faster. Actually, less water can mean that it can take longer. So we have, do you see the pots? See, as low as that is, you would figure, of course, it's going to sit here, and because of the fact that it's so thin in the pot and it's evenly distributed at a smaller, in a less thick amount, right? It's going to naturally bring that to a higher temperature. We are only at 3 cups of water, people, okay? So I'm not going to continue to add to the 2 small ones, seeing as naturally I can't. And if I was to truly get a rolling boil, which would be, what would be my goal and my want, it would boil over. So for the purposes of reality and what I would do at home, as well as practicality, I'm not going to do that. We're going to add 1 cup of water to the 2 larger pots. Now we are at 4 cups of water for the larger pots, all right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you at, I'm going to put the timer now at 10 minutes. And if you remember when I was reading, it said that we should be able to stir as well as add ingredients and it not disrupt the boil, right? So stir. Let's try that. Did it disrupt the boil? Let's find out. Naturally, because it isn't a boil, it's a simmer. Okay, let's try this guy. So if I'm cooking, same principle. That one did it a little less. It went back pretty, quickly. All right, I'm going to put my spoon on my little fancy thing there. All right, and now we're going to go back over around. So we've been doing this process now. I've been filming for about 25 minutes. So, and my description was about 5. So I'd say we've been doing this experiment for approximately 20 minutes, okay? I want to remind you guys that every time I've been adding water, it has been warm water. I've been trying to essentially help the process as much as humanly possible to show that if in the most favorable conditions, it does not do that, then that means that it does not do it at all and something is wrong. I welcome comments and whatnot. My question to everyone is, do you feel that boiling water is a necessity for living somewhere? Would you find it unacceptable if you could not cook pasta or blanch vegetables or sanitize during a pandemic, breastfeeding equipment for your child on your stove? If you're a lawyer or you're a code enforcement person, please, I welcome you to comment. Let me know if these are things that are legal or illegal in your state or wherever you are, and what the requirements are where you are. I also ask, as I said, do you think that simmering, or even as we were looking at what was the definition, the vigorous simmer, is a vigorous simmer good enough for you, or a simmer good enough for you, or is a boil something that you find a requirement? So I'm going to open a new tab now, okay? And we're going to ask how many well, actually, no, we got the degrees from before, right? So what should we ask now, guys? Let me think. How long does it take to boil? Let's see. How long does it take to bring water to a boil? I'm going to flip you again, guys. If you cook in a normal stove, 1 liter of water, it may take around 10 to 15 minutes to boil, depending upon the stove that you are using. If you want it super fast, usually microwave oven takes around 3 to 5 minutes to boil water. So remembering that a microwave is not going to help you cook pasta. It actually messes it up. So how long does it take to boil 2 cups of water? Let's find out. So about 2 cups of water per, measuring water by cup when adding to tea kettle. A tea kettle should take about 2 minutes. So 1 liter is 4 cups of water. It states very clearly. Have you ever been staring at a pot of boiling water? You may have guests over and need a kettle of water to boil ASAP for tea or coffee. How long does it take to boil water to make it, or to make it boil faster? I mean, in this article, I'll be answering these questions. So, stovetop with high heat and lid on, 8 to 10 minutes. Electric kettle, 4 to 5. Microwave, 3 to 4. If you want 1 cup of water to boil, you'll need to wait around about 1 to 2 minutes. Whether you use the stove on high heat, electric kettle, or microwave. The time it takes to boil water depends mostly on the following factors: the amount of water, as we've seen, the container, and these are aluminum, so that should be more, conductive for that. And the heat source, we are on electric range. And what rate of heat increase, the atmospheric pressure. And as I've said, I'm in a higher altitude, so that should be able to help this. Okay. So at sea level, boiling point of water is 212 degrees or 100 Celsius. The Center for Disease Control recommends keeping it at a rolling boil for about 1 minute to make sure it is purified. Boil water at any shorter time and you cannot be sure all of the pathogens have been killed or removed. Which is important to know, seeing as I am breastfeeding and this is part of what I need. If you're at higher than sea level, the atmospheric pressure also changes with the effect the boiling point of water. Well, what is considered high altitude? We are definitely high altitude because we are in the Mile High City. But the boiling temperature of water already has a significant difference from 212 at sea level to just 208. Okay, so that's a huge difference, right? And obviously, if it takes less temperature to bring it to a rolling boil, right? So I just really wanted to, that boiling point differs for altitude. So you'll see, I would say we're around this range, okay? Even if I was at this range, the water gets, when we went downstairs to boil the water on the stove, it got to, I think it was like 160 or 180. And even if you're at 10,000 feet, you still need 193 for it to boil, okay? All right, so, and we're gonna go back to simmer. Okay, so we have simmer identified by pockets of fine but constant bubbling that give off an occasional wisp of steam. Vigorous/gentle boil is indicated by more constant small bubbles breaking the surface of the liquid with frequent wisps of steam by larger bubbles beginning to rise. And then we have a boil. And then it says, that's for vegetables or root vegetable, which also would be potatoes, by the way. And so you need to be able to boil to make, if I want to make potatoes, I have to be able to boil them, right? And a rolling boil is a vigorous state of maintained boiling in which large bubbles erupt continuously on the surface of the liquid and cannot be disrupted by stirring or adding ingredients. Clouds of steam roll off the surface of the water and the boil is audible. A rolling boil is used for cooking pasta and blanching green vegetables to help them maintain their color. All right, so we're going to go back over, guys. Sorry, I'm taking you with me. We're going on a journey. We are at the end of 10 minutes. I'm going to add another 10 minutes. Remember that we're at 4 cups of water, which is 1 liter. So I have 1 liter here. I have 3 cups here, 1 liter here, and 3 cups here. The smaller pots are at a simmer. As you can see, there's smaller bubbles that are breaking the surface, but are not all the way around. And it's not a rolling boil. The rolling boil also has, it looks like the ocean, right? It's going to roll the water, right? That's why it's called a rolling boil. Now, it also says it's audible. You know, you should hear a, you know, right here, I'm hearing like a fizzing, right? Because these are just small bubbles. And again, this is a simmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another 10 minutes just to be fair, right? So timer on, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And start. So now we will have given it Now we will have given it 20 minutes for it to be able to bring to boil, all right? So at 20 minutes, I think that's a fair statement to say it's not gonna boil, not now, not ever. It's gonna stay at a simmer. We've made it very clear what a simmer, a boil, a rolling boil. Like we've been able to make it clear what each definition means and even what they look like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to now find a video, if I can, of what a rolling boil is. Because we know that the CDC has mentioned that you have to have a rolling boil or a boil of 212 degrees or 209 degrees to be able to disinfect, and you have to do it at a certain temperature just to purify the water. We're not even talking about adding materials to then disinfect them, right? All right, so now I'm going to go to my computer and we are going to ask, show me videos of boiling water I'm gonna. All right. Boiling water in slow motion. Let's try that, guy. See what happens. So you'll see that each level, it's not simmering yet. That's getting closer to a simmer. That's getting closer to what we currently have. I'd say that's still closer to what we currently have going on the stove right now. There we go. Now that has a lot more action happening in it than ours does, doesn't it? Oh, so that's definitely a boil right there, guys. And you see that action, that rolling that it was speaking of, right? That is a boil. And you're going to see it literally roll in the pot. And we don't have that in this case, do we? All right, let's go back and see if we have. Show me videos of boiling water. Okay, so let's try. Show me videos of rolling boiling. That's fine.
Here's a video.
There we go. Let's try this. Rolling boil. So, as you can see, there's activity and it's rolling the water, like almost like if you were folding some kind of, if you were folding dough or something, right? That I would say that's pretty much rolling boil, but I think that there's got to be something better. Show me videos of rolling R-O-L-N-G. B-O-I-L. Let's try that. Rolling boil example. Let's see. Oh, see, this is what we're talking about here. See that froth and that nice action that's showing clearly that it's moving, right? That is a rolling boil, people. All right, guys, we are now at 40 minutes on here, okay? And we have 5 minutes left. We have 5 minutes left on the stove, the timer this time. And we have been videoing for about 40 minutes now. Again, this is why I wanted to make sure that I sat here and did it this way. Everyone I give the link to, I'm going to have to express, I'm sorry, it is a long video, but it's due to the fact that I want to make sure that I've given enough time and been very clear about what a boil is and the difference for sanitation, as well as what the difference is for cooking. All right. And I'm going to flip you around though, so that you can see with me. We have been doing this for about 20 minutes, at least. We're at 15 minutes of it trying to boil. These ones have been on for, I'd say, about a total of, I don't know, 35 minutes, and we still haven't gotten past a simmer. Okay, we are at 17 minutes. And again, we are still at a simmer, guys. Driving me nuts. All right, so I think I honestly feel like at this point, I mean, we're heading into quite a long time for this video. But I honestly think at this point, I've shown very clearly my due diligence to be able to prove my point that it does not boil water. Also, my due diligence of being able to prove that it is not just for sanitizing bottles that it's necessary, but also for cooking foods. Yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here with the 3 minutes that's on the stove. I, again, tried to do 1 liter in the 2 larger pots, 3 cups in the 2 smaller ones, to no avail. With the time that I've been doing this, it should have happened by now. And the fact that it hasn't is pretty disconcerting and frustrating, because, you know, I shouldn't have had to fight for 3 months to be able to fix something like that. You know what I mean? And to show that I'm not being a prima donna or impatient or anything else. Like, when you can't properly cook food for your child and for yourself when you're breastfeeding and you are his source of food, and you're in the middle of a pandemic, I think that I'm bringing some pretty valid concerns up. You know what I mean? I'm going to later be adding a video and some pictures of a door in my hallway and how somebody decided to break their door off the hinges in this building. And how this is the kind of stuff that happens here, and it's minimized and whatnot. I mean, come on, I can't even cook. Of course, they don't care whether or not somebody is violent enough in a building that they would rip their door off of its hinges. If that's what you can do to a door, then what can you do to a person? That's sort of scary. And I have a little boy that lives literally doors down from this gentleman. Matter of fact, I'll do a video on that probably next. All right. God bless you guys. Boom. Thank you for your patience.